I remember going to a meeting, super fired up, very excited, pretty crazy, because one of the first lessons I learned, very simple, was find. I believe your success has a lot to do. Welcome to the Journey Podcast with Aaron and Jessica Rocamontes, where we share our journey to building a seven-figure network marketing company. This podcast is designed to best record and document our lessons learned and best practices to be able to share our experience so that you can avoid things we did wrong and improve on the things we did right. Hey guys, Aaron and Jessica Rocamontes here. Welcome back to the Journey Podcast. We're super excited to share with you today. I think this episode's going to definitely be fun, lots of laughs and stories. But before we get there, we are going to do a festive toast. Cheers.
Mind my lip gloss.
I have the Santa Claus.
We're all Christmased out over here at our house, and excited.
Well, let's tell them the truth. So some of our lights in our interior so here's our Christmas tree is kind of like spotty, you know what I'm saying? Like, and our kids don't know the difference, and so that's okay, right?
They know the difference. We've just made it more fun.
Yeah, and so
what happened was we put the tree up, and then we turned on the lights, and then realized some of the lights weren't working, but we weren't going to take the tree back down. Yeah. So we just decorated it and made it fun for the kids.
But slowly, it's progressed to dimming, and so our daughter, is like, "What's going on?" And then we have a garland up, right?
We have garland with lights,
and they're dimming. We're like, they're matching, so you can do it too.
They're like 4 or 5 years old, so we've had them for a while. So it's just time for new ones next year.
That's right. Taking donations. All right, here you go. Cheers. All right. We do have our Christmas lights up as well. I might add. I was able to go out there.
He did it all on his own.
I did.
I was so proud of him.
I was proud of myself. In fact, you know what really helps?
I'll take it back. He didn't do it on his own. Our daughter Alexa helped. Our son Josiah helped.
Yep.
And they had a blast helping, but they were really cold doing it.
Let's be honest though. Their help was like emotional and like directional help. Daddy, pick this up. Daddy, this doesn't look right. But nonetheless, it motivated me to finish. So definitely excited about that. So here we are, first year in network marketing. That's what we're going to be talking about today, our first year. So whether you're brand new in this space or you've been in for 30 years, I think some of these stories and lessons learned and maybe even some best practices could be useful. I'll dive in here and just share with you a couple of things. So when I saw the opportunity, I was 24 years young and I was looking for something, but I wasn't really for sure what I was looking for. I was working in the automotive industry. I was working as a finance manager, finance producer, director. And so ultimately, money was good, but I was looking for more essentially. And so imagine this, I'm 24. I go to what's called like a hotel meeting, right? And I remember showing up and there's like hundreds of people there and I'm super excited. And I'm a sanguine, if you know what that means.
Personality types. If you do like a DISC personality, I'm like a high I, like D&I driver and an influencer. I see myself as a creative. I love people. They give me energy. I'm not the other side of where people, consumes energy. I just love being around people. And so I show up to a meeting with tons of people. I'm already in. I'm just like, sign me up. I have no idea what we're doing, but you're excited. I'm excited and it's happening. Right. And so I was all in as soon as I walked. I was the guy that was introducing myself to the business owners. Hey, my name's Aaron. So what are we doing around here? And so that was my first experience of having that type of an environment. And so I remember going to a meeting, super fired up, very excited, and I got to meet my mentor. It was pretty crazy because one of the first lessons I learned, very simple, was find a mentor. I believe your success in the network marketing industry has a lot to do with being connected with the right people. I've heard it this way: relationships are key. And so I remember his name is Chase, and he just, we connected, and I just knew this is the guy I should be talking to. And it's pretty cool. So through that, I learned that I could speed up the process of doing what I need to do and avoid the things that were not good for me. And I was really good at asking questions, asking deeper questions. And in fact, I was more of a little bit of a challenger when it came to building the business, because I am a creative. So my thoughts are always non-traditional. Why don't we do it this way? And we just learned to work together really well. And that, I'll just stop there for a second. But because I found somebody that wanted to invest in me, I was brand new. I was just excited, ready to take action. I was appreciative, and he took interest in me. I was like, let's just go. Whatever you say, I'm all in. So the first lesson I really want to talk about is finding a mentor. Jessica has a little bit different story, right?
Yeah, so he was talking about personality types. I am not his personality type. I'm what you'd call, I feel like I'm all.
You're what's called amazing personality type.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but I'm more of the laid back personality, kind of introvert is what you hear most often, is the introvert. I like people. I just don't like being around them as much as he does. And so, so my first year in business, I think I mentioned this the last time. I wasn't really excited because of the time that he was gone often. And so, when he started this, the only reason I came to a meeting initially was just so I could spend more time with him. But I was super pregnant. And shortly after that, we had our first son, Josiah. And then we ended up being in the hospital for almost a month. And so network marketing wasn't really where I wanted to be at the time at all. But I knew that I had started to see some changes in him already. And the good things that I saw coming from it, I wanted to see more of it. And so that was kind of what piqued my interest at first in starting to build the business with him. But just to be honest, my first year, I did absolutely nothing because I didn't want to support him. And the only reason I was going around was to be with him. So that's technically my first year in network marketing.
Hey, listen,
Dad there?
I mean, this is public. So I'm like, man, I don't know. So
for being honest,
I believe that doing nothing just wasn't accurate, right? Because it was, I would say that you hammer dialed me sometimes.
Oh my gosh.
So I don't know if it was like doing nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, I want to say something just in case, if you're a married couple out there. Maybe you have a spouse or you're building this and you're like trying to almost convince your spouse, this is the best thing ever. Trust me. And then you look back at your old decisions. You're like, why would they trust you? And that's kind of me. And so I would say that, rightfully so, if I was Jessica, seeing how I behaved and the decisions I made, I would probably do the same thing of like, hey, look, like, are you really going to do this? Is it really going to work? Are you really going to work at it? And one of the things I would say, if you have a spouse or married or whatnot, that, what I think that we both did that worked for us. And we're not saying we're pushing our beliefs on you. We're not saying what's right and what's wrong. It's just what works for us is Jessica made a statement I'll never forget. And she said, Aaron, I didn't marry your career, I married you. And so whatever you're doing, I'm in. It did take, about a year to do that, but ultimately we got on the same page. And what helped was me staying the course, I believe, right? I mean, from your perspective, I think we've talked about this before, is you just saw me being consistent and congruent with what I'm saying. And then the action of actually building the business being consistent. Would you agree with that?
Right. No, yeah, absolutely. And then also what I learned that first year is you've heard this age-old saying tons of times, but you can't judge a book by its cover. And so me thinking that, network marketing was just this thing that he was just going to do and then be gone, that wasn't what it was for him. And that's kind of what changed my mind in it. So what he's saying is absolutely true. If you're going to say you're going to do something, you actually have to do it. And that's what made me want to start building it with him, was him showing me that he wanted to do it and that he was trying to provide for our now family of 3 because at the time we just had our son Josiah. And so that's what made me want to do it even more with him.
Yeah. You're 5 months, we're a few months pregnant too with Josiah when we saw the opportunity.
Right. So I was 5 months pregnant when we had first saw the opportunity, and then we had him in March. So just a few months in.
Yep. So lots of stuff happening for sure. And so that lesson, the second lesson here is, for me, belief drives behavior, which ultimately drives results. And so if you're brand new, you have to learn how to protect your belief. Again, network marketing as a whole has kind of a negative image and connotation. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know what? It is what it is. And I know that's kind of what we're up against in a lot of different industries that people may not know or are aware of, but there is a professional way of doing it. And thankfully, we are connected with people that knew how to deliver that in a professional way. And so I just believed that this was the way for us to be able to build something together, to have mission together, to have vision together, to have a platform, to have the ability to have impact for people, to have time with our family, and to make money to support the causes that we love and the people that we love, and really to invest in what we believe is invest in the kingdom, right? And so when you're brand new in the network marketing space or any business as an entrepreneur, you have to have self-belief. You have to learn how to protect that belief. And also you have to learn how to grow that belief, which is, knowing who you should be hanging out with, connecting with, that's going to empower you, believe in you. And my secret sauce has always been, if you know us, we came from a small town. I think I mentioned that before. At the time, I think it was like 5,000 people. I don't know. I worked at the grocery store. My goal was to remember everybody's names. It was awesome. However, the biggest thing, one of my biggest fans, right? It still is. My biggest fan is my wife, right? Jessica, right? Would you agree?
Yeah.
Biggest raving fan? Yeah.
Biggest fan,
right? Because she sees all the stuff on the other end of the camera, right?
Behind the scenes.
And
you should have saw him before this.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, it was actually not that bad.
No, we just started over a few times. That's okay.
Yeah, have to figure it out. And so, so when you get started, if you believe something, right, it's going to drive your behavior. And as you progress and mature in business and entrepreneur, you may adjust a couple of your behaviors, because maybe some of the beliefs, I've heard this before, I forget who quoted it, but it's not what you know that hurts you, it's what you think to be so true that isn't true that hurts you. And so some of the beliefs along the journey we'll talk about fundamentally has changed or adjusted based off new information or unlearning some things, right? But in the beginning, your belief in your business and entrepreneurial spirit and your dream, your desires, your goals, man, I had a burning desire to be able to have more time freedom with my family. And so my behaviors, they aligned.
Yeah. So I'll just piggyback off that, I guess, because one of my things that I learned very early on, because I was very much of a people pleaser and wanted to always do what I thought other people wanted me to do. One of the things I learned was that not everybody's going to be okay with what you do, and you have to be okay with that. And you have to be okay with making people upset sometimes with the choices that you make. And so I guess not really thinking or caring what people think to a certain extent, because obviously at some point you do want to care what people think. But when you're building something that you truly believe in, like you just mentioned, and you believe to the fullest that it's going to help you and it's going to help your family, and as long as it's legal, we just knew that this was going to work for us. And when other people's opinions came our way, it wasn't going to deter us from what we thought was best for us and our family at the time. And so that would just be mine, is not really caring what other people think. You know, you're going to do what's best for you and for your family. And that has to be okay. And you have to be okay with making that decision and not allowing other people's decisions to sway yours.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you just described one of Steve Jobs' famous quotes, which is, don't live in dogma, which is the results of other people's opinions. And so I remember this guy named Eric. He was definitely a mentor to me in the car business. And early on, and he was a director of finance, and I was a sales. I was actually a manager at that point. And I remember him saying something like, hey, look, if I'm going to get fired, I'm going to get fired based off my opinion, my thoughts, not based off of somebody else's opinion or thoughts of running a department, because otherwise you're just going to have to place blame on that. Mm-hmm. And so I will say this for that second lesson, if you have radical belief, you're going to have radical behaviors and actions. I'm not going to say it's always good, right? But you're going to look crazy to the average people out there. And just, give you a quick story, but I would stay out till 2-3 in the morning with my boys, with, the guys, and we're talking about the dream, we're talking about building the business, and, wake up the next day, work out, at 5 a.m. and go to work. And, we would talk to our peers maybe, and they got 9 hours of sleep, still tired. We've had two hours of sleep, but we had a dream, and we were just like, let's go.
That was him. That was not me.
Jessica was not yet.
I love my sleep. And so not to say I won't stay up late, but like 2 or 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, that's much.
I wake up at 3:45 now, but I go to bed earlier now. Yeah. So I still have a dream. It's just, 3 kids, they wear you out. So that's my second lesson.
There are little things change.
Yeah. It's just small changes. Eat healthy, exercise often. So this is like, say, 3 months in, right? I get started 3 months in. I've ranked advanced like 4 or 5 times. And I say Jessica's coming around. She's a cheerleader in the stands right now, but she ends up getting to the field, right? And as an expression of support. And so we rank advanced. And then our son, we had a situation where our oldest son, he was diagnosed with some challenges, and he was in the NICU at Cook's Children for 21 days. Mm-hmm. 21 days. And so Jessica, has Josiah, and same day force recovers, and tells the doctors, like, I'm going to go see my son. I mean, talk about resilient, right? That was a struggle bus during that time. You stay there all 21 days.
They're Cook's, yes.
Cook's Children.
The NICU, in the NICU, yes, I did.
And shout out, we had people that from our church actually worked there, and that helped us. So it was amazing. Great.
It's a good situation.
Yeah, what a blessing.
Yeah.
And they have great food downstairs, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so at that time, our mentors were actually, basically said, hey, we got the business. You do what you need to do. We got it, which speaks volumes. Mm-hmm. And there was one night where I went home to get change of clothes, because what I was doing basically was, waking up early, changing, going to work, working all day, building a business, coming back, and wake up to the sounds of, Josiah just not having fun with all the things happening.
Right.
All the, when the doctor's coming at 2 a.m. and, sticking them with needles and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so there's one day I went home to grab clothes and I fell asleep. I felt so bad. Jessica's like, where's my clothes? I wake up. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
So all the things, right? All the things are happening. And then our business goes down to about 4 or 5 IBOs. So 4 or 5 people. And we ranked advanced. As fast as we ranked advanced going up, we went back just as fast. I mean, it takes talent. And so at that time, I'm 3-4 months in, and, I have like I'm excited. I rank advanced. I get all this accolade and attention. I'm like, dude, this is easy. Right. Mm-hmm. And then there I was thinking,
I'll just quit. Right? And what you were like, no, right?
I did say no. I don't remember.
I don't know why you said it, because you're not like excited about it.
Yeah, no, I did say no, but I think mainly because I knew he was giving up versus like there was an actual reason to not build the business. It was him just giving up because of the situation we're in. So I think that's why I said no, is because I didn't want you to give up because of the situation we're in versus you not actually liking it. So.
Yeah. And so I go back and then we start building it again. So what helped me during that time, and this is the third lesson, is reading provides revelation. I highly, highly, highly recommend getting a really good reading habit. Not in a way where you're like a philosopher, where you read a lot of self-help books, self-development books, and you're like a walking library, but you take no action, right? Not like that. But what I found was, as I was actually out there, building the business, prospecting customers, building a team, growing a team, working with existing team members, sewing into them. When I was reading these books, Magic of Thinking Big, of course, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, How to Have Confidence and Power with Dealing with People, the Skill of People, The Art of Dealing with People. I mean, the list can go on, Bring Out the Best in People. All these books, as I was reading the books, they were confirmation and revelation, and it kept my mind grounded. And so third lesson is reading provides revelation. And so my recommendation as you're growing, especially if you're brand new, also go out there and make things happen, take action in your business, but also reading is going to provide for you to be sharper, faster, so you communicate, you can articulate, you can understand, you can problem solve, and you can just mature faster in business. And even books like The E-Myth Revisited, understanding business and not being just a solopreneur, but how to actually scale businesses, think differently, all that's going to come into play. And so and I know, Jessica, one of the things that we did not have a reading habit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. I read social media.
Though once they get out of school, I think they're just completely done with books in general.
There's
a slight few.
I'm sure, yeah, there's people out there, and kudos.
But like not self-development books, not most people anyway. Not so.
And and so that literally changed. That opened my mind to figure out how to learn. Learning how to learn was super important. And so you started picking up books. And there's really several categories for me personally, I flip through. There's relational books, because we're dealing with people, and if you're married, you're working with a spouse. There's skill books, like technical skill books. So if you decide to pivot to learn how to build using technology, modern marketing, right? There's skill books. There's leadership books. I call those soft skills, how to work with people, how to collaborate, and things of that nature. And then there's also mindset. A really good book is by Dr. Carol S.S. Dweck, and I believe it's called Mindset: The New Psychology of Success. That's a great mindset book to get you out of a fixed mindset and teach you how to have a growth mindset. And then the fifth one for me, it's based off faith, books on faith, to have grounding. And so I cycle through those, and I know you start jumping into self-development and books and things of that nature too, as well, your first year.
Yeah, so I definitely did jump into books, and mainly it was not for me. I was trying to learn how to help my husband, but little did I learn, I was learning more about me than anything else. And so through reading, what it does is it just brings out the things that you really never knew about yourself and things that you should probably work on. And so all the while thinking I need to fix my husband, I was actually needing to fix me. And so, reading just helped me a ton in that area, and actually helped me a lot. Not really just compare myself to what others were doing and what my husband was doing, because I used to compare myself a lot in the very beginning to everything that he was learning and everything that he was processing, and the prospecting and the meeting people and all the things that go along with that first year. I used to compare what I was doing to what he was doing, not realizing I was just in a totally different situation. I was a new mom, just trying to figure out what that was going to look like. Our son had just got out of the hospital. I wasn't technically going to all the meetings that we had, so I wasn't really learning at the fastest rate that I could. And so I would just feel so bad not knowing, if I was of any value to him at all. And so just really learning, sometimes you have to slow down to speed up, and going at your own pace versus trying to go at the same speed as your spouse or just anyone in general, because in the end, it doesn't do anything for you except frustrate you. And that's just not a good place to be. So,
yeah, comparison is a huge thing, especially in the network marketing environment. You see a lot of success. Very few teams highlight failures. So there's this sense, it could be a flawed sense of overabundance of success versus like the reality and authenticity of what's happening sometimes. And I know that, I even struggled with comparison, and through coaching and mentorship was able to break the bonds of that and things like that. So I definitely highlight that. The fourth lesson for me in that first year is I still know nothing.
too, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's the lesson today, right? We still know nothing. The more you know, the more you think you know, the more you realize you don't know, right? And so I say that because, there's a cycle that people run through, right? In sales and business, I learned this years and years ago. And for me, it still holds true. But that first cycle is you get started in a new opportunity and you are excited. You're happy. I mean, you're telling everybody about whatever it is, whatever you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And because your excitement and your belief is so high, it starts to work, right? People want to be part of what you're doing. They buy your product because it helps solve the problem. They believe in you. So everything seems to be going well. And then you enter that second phase where, you start to have more of a mindset of, okay, I get it. You have a little bit of success. So you're like, oh yeah, I got it. No problem. I got it.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden you start getting some rejection, and not rejection as in you're rejected as a person or as an identity, but people say, no, I don't want to be part of the opportunity. No, I don't want to buy this anymore. And the sizzle, almost the flash goes away.
Excitement.
The excitement goes away.
Yeah. And
then all of a sudden it's grind time. And so because one might think, oh, I know how to do this, and it stops working, then it goes into that third phase where now your belief is low and you're frustrated, and then nothing's working. So now you have this big decision. Am I going to go full circle and come back to, stage 4 is where you want to be, whereas you're back where you're excited and you're competent, and you believe. Do I get to that fourth cycle, or do I just, say this doesn't work and leave? And so what I found that works best is learning how to make the distinction between self-judgment and self-evaluation. And what I mean by that is, if you have this mindset of, I'm terrible at network marketing, nothing's working, just nothing's working. My question to you is, nothing's working, right? Like nothing's working.
Right.
Did you talk to somebody? Did you connect with somebody? Something's working. And so it's that comparison that you talked about, right? If you can get out of the comparison mindset and stop self-judging yourself and say, okay, what is working? What's not working? What's effective? What's least effective? What's more effective? And what might we do differently? And just realizing you don't know it all. I was thinking about this today. I have random thoughts all the time. If you're a dude, you know exactly. I mean, you're driving down the road, you're thinking about like boxing a kangaroo randomly. It's weird. I don't know, like guys, we just think about weird things.
Odd.
Yeah. Like I'm always thinking about like, okay, if somebody breaks in, like how am I going to handle this? I have firearms here.
Well, that's good to think about.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Kangaroo thing.
I just think about random things. It's great. But here's the point to that is, once you realize that it's okay to be like, I know nothing right now, but I'm willing to look bad long enough to look good at it. And what I thought about it is, it's the first time, I tell Jessica all the time, like, hey, it's the first time I'm married. Like,
give me some grace. It's the first time
first and only time.
Yeah. It's the first time I have 3 children and married. So just give me some grace. Hey, it's the first time, we're launching a podcast, give me some grace. And so one of the pro tips I would provide you is, at one point, an entrepreneur did something for the first time and problem solved and figured it out along the way. If you are somebody that wants to be perfect and focus on this has to be perfect, and not somebody that's wanting to progress, then I think that your chances of success will be delayed, as opposed to the person that says, hey, it doesn't have to be perfect. Let's just get going. Let's just start moving. Let's just start taking action. And I believe that's what has helped us, that first year in network marketing. We made a mess. We made a lot of mistakes. We fought. We had arguments. We were frustrated at one another, but we kept progressing. We kept building. We kept growing. And even if our business in itself wasn't growing in team size, we were growing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think that's one thing I learned too, is always to have that learning state of mind, the willingness to learn, not to just shut down completely whenever you feel like you don't get something. Kind of what he's saying as far as their perfectionist mindset, because I definitely had that in the very beginning, and I just didn't want to do anything because I felt like I wasn't going to do it right. And so always being willing to learn and take coaching, even if it's from your husband. That's something I needed a lot of help with too. But just the willingness to do so, and not to give up on yourself and give up on your spouse and give up on what it is, the dream that you may have. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, it's so funny you just mentioned this, and I'm not going to put this as my lessons learned in, that first year, but one of the lessons I just want to hit on this is, you mentioned, I'm your first, upline, downline, I'm your coach, your first coach, right?
Okay.
But also in the same mindset, you're my first downline. And the aspect of, she's my wife, right? And the aspect of, it's funny sometimes, people will treat their team better than their spouse sometimes. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
And so that's just something that I had to make sure that we always were in alignment, that we communicated, we set right expectations, we managed those expectations, and it wasn't always perfect.
No.
Right.
But again, we were willing to work at it and figure it out versus just shut down. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other thing I want to talk about is you have to serve people. At the end of the day, the reason why I believe, myself and Jessica can hit on this, but I believe that first year, what really helped me just fall in love with the network marketing community is we had the opportunity to serve people, to love on people, to go the extra mile. We originally built it the traditional way, where I'd be driving, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, sometimes 6 hours one way, and 6 hours back the next, the same day, to go serve people, to instill belief in them and say, you know what, and this is all working a full-time job, and I will share those stories later for part of the journey. But what I've learned that first year, it taught me that if you want to see success, not just monetary success, but true value-based relationships, relational success, is go put yourself out there and serve people at a level that they just have never been served. A great book was given to me. I was 18 years young. My pastor at the time, Pastor Tommy Brandon, he gave me a book. He wrote in it, I have it. It's called The Go-Giver. And at 18 years old, that's when I got into the car business, and I said, if I can take these 6 principles, and one of the 6 principles was your income will be determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them, right? And so once I said, okay, I just need the biggest platform to serve and provide value. And I got addicted to serving people. And then I never realized that, obviously you would have a community of ladies that you could also sow into.
Right. And I think serving for me came really hard that first year because I didn't know what it was to look like. I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't really have a ton of friends growing up, and I didn't really know what it was to serve. And so whenever this community came along and there were ladies coming along, I didn't really know what to do other than invite them over to my house. I think we invited everybody over to our house a lot. We had tons of people in our home. And that's really, really where I first learned how to do that. And it was just really fun and exciting. And I learned a lot about people and learned a lot of their quirks and just different things. And so I learned to be excited about people coming into my home because, like I said, I didn't have the personality for it. I liked people. I just didn't always like people in my home. And so I'm kind of like a homebody. So like people in my space, or used to be, people in my space used to bother me a lot. And so just getting out of your comfort zone and being willing again to serve people and shows a lot for you and for them.
So I won't say her name because, you know, he's still, I mean, they've been part of our team for like 8.5 years. Right. But he would come over. This is when we first got started. He'd come over and he just goes straight to our fridge.
Yes.
If you're watching, you're laughing. And go straight to our fridge and just eat, drink.
And I would never say anything.
We would never say anything.
I would never say anything. But as soon as he left, I'd be like, Aaron, why doesn't he just ask? Like, I don't understand. Why doesn't he just ask? But
man,
we're still friends. So
yeah,
that's good.
You can Venmo us now, you know. But you know, I'll say this: if you're in your first year or you just got started, it's worth it. You know, network marketing isn't perfect. I've heard this from a guy named Eric, and this is so true. Network marketing isn't perfect, but it is better. And you do it professionally. You do it in a way where you serve people. You give value first. You do it in a way where you're not hunting people and being salesy and trying to manipulate people and things of that nature. It is a fun business to build, and especially if you have a spouse, it's fun to build with a spouse. And so even though we had people come in, and I would never say they took advantage of us because we never said anything. And honestly, we're the type of people who are like, just eat it all, get all, just come on, just have fun. Because we saw the bigger picture, early on as we see it today. And so I just encourage you, stay the course. You're constantly problem solving along the way. It's worth it. Find good people, surround yourself with good people, and believe that, your goal is just around the corner.